Well, we do have one member of the public here as an observer, and I don't know whether she would like to. Would you like to say anything, Anne? You don't have to.
No, I will.
Okay,
Yeah, my name is Ann Coakley, I live in Longmont, and Ronnie asked me to attend the meeting just to see what it was about. So I'm happy to be here,
Good.
and I am going to apply, I'm sure, for
the board?
Yeah, how many board members do you need?
3.
3? Okay, I'll apply.
Good.
Good to hear.
Thank you. Next is old business, and there's just one item on the agenda at this point, which is an update on the Northern Arapaho Elder Exchange. Ronnie, who attended that meeting, is going to update the board on the success of the mission.
Absolutely. I was going to see if we can start with new business,
Okay.
so that way Amy could present, do her part, and then we can excuse her right after, so she doesn't have to sit through everything, if that's okay.
Absolutely fine, but
Sure.
the board.
Thank you.
Amy, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Amy Pam. I'm one of 3 resource specialists here on staff. The other 2 are Veronica and Melissa. What we do is we provide information and referral, system navigation, and a little bit of case management to seniors and caregivers of seniors here in the community. And so that's kind of a broad, kind of all-encompassing definition of what we do. We do a lot of helping with finding housing and letting people know what housing is available for seniors, and sitting down and talking about financial situations of assistance if they're needing help with budgeting or looking at help with paying for hearing aids, eyeglasses, dentures. Medicare is getting better, but unfortunately it doesn't like to cover much on your face. So for that reason, there's grants in the community that we help look into to see how someone can get assistance with that.
Amy, do you also direct them to Medicaid if they qualify?
We do, and we actually give a lot of Medicaid assistance in helping understand Medicaid. Because Medicaid just isn't one program, and I think a lot of individuals assume it is one program. So looking at the different types of Medicaid, the income limits and the asset limits, and then also trying to advocate for information to be up to date. I actually had someone call me yesterday because the 3 different websites for the state and the county, and there was one other one, all have different income limits for the same program.
Oh.
So helping navigate that and try to figure out what's the actual right answer so that when you go to look up something, you're able to know if you qualify or not. And then we do help with the application for Medicaid, food assistance, and some of those other public assistance programs. We help look at different rebates that are available for seniors in the community and try to get out word about the different programs. Tabor was a big one in the last few years because seniors were eligible for Tabor but didn't necessarily know that or know that they had to do a tax return to get it. Because a lot of seniors, if you're on a fixed income, you don't necessarily need to do a tax return. So that's something we try to get information out around resources and staying up to date on what the resources are because they're ever changing. I've been here with the city about 9 years now. Veronica's going on year 20. And then Melissa, she joined us during the pandemic, so I think it's gone so fast. I think she's actually been here almost 5. We're getting close to that. And then Veronica and Melissa are both bilingual Spanish speakers. So they meet with our monolingual Spanish speaking population and do a lot of outreach in that area. Veronica has a program called Regalo de Paz, which is the advanced directives and end of life planning in Spanish. And then I run a money management program, so it's volunteers that meet with seniors one-on-one and help them go through their mail, sort through what are bills, what are not bills, create a budget, and then we just have guidance around following that budget from month
I
to
think we
month.
can share. I'm sorry. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
you're okay.
We're having a- I'm sorry, Rick. I apologize.
So that's kind of a overview summary. We did have another resource specialist at the Longmont Housing Authority specific properties. That was actually a position through Longmont Housing Authority, but supervised under senior services. That one is vacant right now, and we're kind of re-looking at that now, but hopefully we'll have our fourth resource specialist back in the new year. So that's a quick summary. I could probably talk for hours if you let me, so I'm gonna pause and see if you have any questions around what we do or any specific questions.
What do you think is the most common question that comes up with your clients? What's their biggest problem?
So housing is a really big one, and not just housing, but affordable, available housing. We're really lucky to have Longmont Housing Authority. Their portfolio is about 80% senior housing, and those are all affordable options. But it's just a real struggle when the cost of living is going up greater than what your increase is. And if you're on a fixed income from Social Security, and you've been renting somewhere for 20 years and they're hiking up the rent, we've had a lot of more immediate housing needs than what's available. And so we help try to brainstorm, navigate, figure out, do you have family, do you have friends, what are some temporary situations that are available to you while we work on the long-term, getting you on wait lists, looking at what other options are available. We don't do emergency services, so we're really looking at the long-term. Unfortunately, our appointments are booking out about a month right now. So, and we try to see as many people as we can, but what we found is squeezing 8 people in a day doesn't leave room for follow-up for the people we did see. So sometimes providing customer service is asking to wait until we can fully give our service that we need. So that's one. The other one we're seeing a huge increase in is individuals needing help applying for Social Security. And we do help with the actual application for Social Security. If they need help applying online, we can help make that My Social Security account and then go through the online application with folks. We also help call Social Security if you need help calling to get an appointment or just need help navigating what questions to ask when you get a hold of a Social Security representative. So that's probably a newer one that we've seen quite an increase. So.
And why do you think, are there more people reaching Social Security age now? It's just an increase in the number.
Yeah, yep. So I think there's an exponential increase in the number of people retiring and getting to that age where they can draw Social Security. It's also a pretty complicated website in the sense of it's very secure. So secure sometimes you yourself can't get in. And so just having someone that knows how to navigate and get that set up, folks like that service. And Social Security is really encouraging folks to do it online versus making an in-person appointment or do it by phone, just because it gets processed quicker if you do it that way. So it's great we can be that support and help so you don't have to wait 3 months or 2 months to get an appointment.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
I had a senior approach me this week in regard to the fact that sometime or other they had dropped Part B from their Medicare. And he was not having much luck navigating the website. And I said, well, try the senior center, see if you can get over there. And then, of course, it's you have to make an appointment and it's probably 4 weeks out. So how do we help him?
So I would actually have him talk with the Medicare counselors here in Boulder County.
At the AAA?
Yeah, so we do a little bit of the base Medicare and how Medicare works with Medicaid, but when it gets into issues with Medicare or Medicare supplements, we partner with the AAA because they have actually trained Medicare counselors that just know that way better than us. That's their expertise. So that's where I would start with that gentleman.
Okay.
Do they have a waiting list, and how soon can somebody,
Usually it happens pretty
Yeah.
fast, I think.
Yeah, so they are entering open enrollment, so their wait time is gonna be a little bit longer. But they do return calls and at least can talk to them over the phone and give them guidance. I would say within a week, they'll at least talk to them and figure out initially what steps they should do.
Amy, isn't there a class here too?
Yes, yep, so they offer the Medicare Basics class, but for that case specifically, that class is more a general overview, and it's really great for folks to take that first to understand it. And then the Medicare counselors meet with individuals one-on-one to give them more of a situation by situation or your specific case.
And when is that class?
So we do that one monthly.
Okay.
Not necessarily.
No,
So Boulder County did move everything online
Yeah.
during the pandemic. So we only had one class here, I think, in this catalog. So it's like once a catalog here, but they have them online more regularly.
yeah, so I think online options are once or twice a month, but then the actual in-person ones are more infrequent.
Do they have a Spanish-speaking person there?
Yes, they do.
Good to
Yep, they
hear.
have a Spanish speaking, her name's Karen.
Okay.
And she was out for a while, so they were using the Spanish line, but I believe she's back now.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, it's really good.
Any other questions? I guess somebody else should be, whoever called the meeting to order can go ahead and continue.
They're handing it off to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions?
You guys do a great job.
Yes.
You do.
Thank you.
You have a wonderful service for the community.
And it's one of those things a lot of people don't know about us until they
Right.
meet us. And so having you all familiar with us helps because like you running into someone needing assistance, now you know where to direct them. And if you don't know where to direct them, we're a really good first stop. Because even if we don't do the service, we can talk to them and brainstorm and say, this is really where you need to go and where to start. Because we understand the systems and who does what. So I brought these little wrap cards that we have that have what we do and what we help with, and then also our information. And in case you need a reference of what we look like, they put our pictures on there too. So these are helpful. I just brought a stack of them if you want to have a few.
I got one.
Oh. So if you want to pass them around, don't feel
Yes.
obligated to take one, but I thought it would be helpful.
Well, that's very informative.
Yeah.
When I come
So, and Kaylee's not on there yet, or oh no, she is on there. Those are the new ones. We're trying to get rid of all of our old ones that didn't have Kaylee, our other counselor.
I'm sorry I was a little late today, but
That's okay.
what is your wait time on an appointment now?
So right now they're about a month. out.
About a month? So
Yeah.
it's better than what it was. It was, there for a while, it was a little longer now.
Yeah, so it kind of ebbs and flows. We tend to, through the seasons, in the summer it tends to be shorter for some reason. In the fall, we start to kind of book out a little bit further. And then in Christmas time, it kind of gets a little less. And January, it normally snowballs, and that's when it gets really long.
That's what it is.
So, at
Okay.
least that's kind of what I've seen throughout the years.
I want to concur with what was said earlier. Appreciate you folks and what you do for our community, for our seniors.
on. Absolutely.
You really have great service.
Well, thank you for being our voices out there.
I will take
Okay.
this because I didn't think I know. Thank you.
Any other questions? If not? Okay, well, thank you for coming in. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Amy.
Thank you.
I'll see you around the senior center.
All right. And it looks, folks, I was working and I saw the clock at about 10:20 and a group of people came into Santiago's, and before I turned around, it was 10 o'clock. I said, oh, late. So I apologize.
Oh, forgive me.
I appreciate it.
We just sat here and stared at each other.
Yeah.
Oh, That's better than waiting to come in and letting everybody stare at me. Okay, looks like we're on board updates. Am I correct?
No, we actually need to go back to
You
A.
wanna go back to A?
Yeah.
Okay.
We skipped old business
Yes.
so that Amy could talk.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So we approve of the agenda?
Now, we've
Did all of
done,
that.
we're
All
at
that.
5A.
5A.
Yep.
Updates on Northern Arapahoe Elder Exchange.
So
Did you?
Yep, so I'll talk about that and then kind of Sheila, if that's okay in the back end, then I'll have you jump in and share your experience and takeaways. And so, as mentioned, we've been doing some work with the Northern Arapahoe to develop and create an elder exchange for us here at the Senior Center, providing some of our patrons an opportunity to have, well, I'll say cultural enrichment opportunities that we've never offered here, in person, hands-on, right? And so we've been working with sister cities to make that introduction, establish a relationship, and now we're continuing to build that relationship. So this trip we just went on in September was to continue building that relationship, an opportunity for our leadership to connect with their leadership. So leading up to that, we had the Little by Little Sisters video presented here at the Senior Center for our advisory board members and our Friends board members. And some of our staff too participated in that just to get some background knowledge of our Northern Arapahoe friends and who they are and what work has already been established by sister cities and with our previous mayor and council members as well. So presented that video. Friends board approved some funds for us to take a leadership group compiled of our advisory board, Friends board, and some of our staff to go up to Wyoming. So to those who were able to participate from our advisory board is Sheila was able to go. From our Friends board, we took Ray Ramirez, we took Brenda, and we were able to take another staff member, or city staff member, Carmen Palacios Ramirez, who's Ray's wife, but has been doing this work since it first started with Sister Cities. And from our team here at the Senior Center, I went, Brandy went, and Bianca went. I would love to take me.
Yeah.
And so we went up on a Friday morning. Got up to Casper late afternoon. Got settled in, and then went to the horse races. So our Northern Arapahoe friends are hosting the National Horse Racing Championships in Casper, Wyoming. So they invited us up there to share their culture, something that they're very, very proud of, and being able to host the national championship is a big deal. And they'll say it's a worldwide competition because there were some tribes from Canada in attendance. So they'll say yeah. So again, the invitation was sent to us to again continue building that friendship, but to share something that's very, very important to their culture. And so we've never experienced that. So that alone was very eye-opening. It was, if you've never seen it, I will send a link after this video, or a video link after this meeting. It's pretty intense. There's a group of each tribe has one rider, but they have 3 horses. All competitors get as close to the front of the starting line as possible. Then they'll sound a horn. You have to jump on the horse bareback, ride around once. As soon as they make it around a lap around the track, they pull over to their team, get off one horse, get on another horse, and go again. And they do that 3 times till the race is over. But how fast they move, how much training that goes into it, the fact that it's bareback, and there's so many unpredictable factors. I mean, 3 different horses, right? And it depends on what mood they're in. And people were being thrown off the horses are going opposite directions. Some people whose job is to stop the horse so the racer can get off to get on the next horse. getting run over. So it was
Wow.
pretty intense.
And
Yeah.
you know, the leader
Yeah.
that comes in first on that first round, he can have some sort of upset, and so the guy who's third or fourth does a good changeover, and off he goes and
Yeah,
takes the lead. So it's all very,
it's very.
really slow.
Yes, and you would think that we had some stake in the game, how much we were cheering, it was just, and it is really eye-opening again, the cultural enrichment opportunities to experience something different that we are used to, and we were able to see why they were so proud of not only this event and this competition, but hosting the national championships.
I may have missed this, but did they introduce you guys
Not yet. No.
at the rodeo?
No. They
I
did
just
not.
wondered if they talked about the exchange.
Yeah, they did not. I mean, it's a big event and it's very fast paced. If anybody's ever been to a high school track meet, it's very similar to that, but much faster. So as soon as one race ends, they're getting all the horses off. I mean, each group has three different horses. They get everybody off, and the next group is right behind them coming in. So it's like a track meet, but way faster.
So is anyone invited to attend, or is it just the Arapahoes?
Anybody. So there's people from all over. So when we were kind of having conversations with people in different various lines that we were in, there's people from all over. We heard of someone from Oregon came down for these events, and I mean a lot of people in Wyoming. Just 'cause it's in their
You don't have
backyard.
to be Native American.
No.
Is this a yearly event?
It is, yes.
So you would be praying for next time or not?
Right,
Ride the horses?
Right, and I've already started my training. I told my daughters I'm going to have them. I showed them videos. I'm like, yeah, you start learning how to do this, starting with our dogs. So we were able to see again what they were very, very proud of and why they extended that offer for us to go up there. And then they hosted us that Friday night. They hosted a dinner for us, which was outside. It's a dinner they host for all racers, all participants, all teams, and they invited us to be a part of that dinner as well. And so even going into this entire trip, I let everybody know there's no formalities in place. We are not going to come to a room like this that we have here at the Senior Center, sit at a table, and have formal discussions. Anything related to an outdoor exchange is going to be very, very unstructured. And I wanted to prepare everybody for that, so there's no expectation of this type of formality. It's very, very informal. Everything, all the planning that's taken place so far, and their comfort level is operating in these informal environments. And so we were able to sit down, grab some dinner, and we had Stephen, I believe, I could be wrong, but I feel like his last name is Fast Horse, sat at our table with us. We talked with him about this idea, and it was his first time hearing this, and his excitement level was off the roof. Just knowing what this could bring for their community and our community, and collectively coming together. And we were brainstorming ideas. He was sharing his ideas of what this should look like, giving us feedback of we should take certain things into consideration. And he volunteered to be first in line to come down here when this exchange takes place. Once he found out it's for 55 and older adults, he said, "Oh, I'm in that range. Include me." Because he asked how many people we were anticipating being a part of this, and we said a low number, starting around 5, 6. He said, "Nope, do 10." And so he threw that number out there, and he said, including myself, 9 other people. So again, he's thrown himself to be part of this first group to come down.
I didn't realize there are 2 senior centers on the reservation.
Right. Yep. So he's telling us there's 2 locations, and so there was that informal conversation. But started generating ideas between our group and a couple of their representatives as well, taking us into the next day, the day 2 of races. And I'm sorry, leading up to that, we were able to make some introductions with their leadership. Again, informally, they welcomed us, met us at the door, gave us our tickets, showed us where our seats were, but they're very busy putting on this event. And so we were able to meet Lee, who's part of their business council, Brendan, who's also part of their business council, and then some members of their tribe as well. We met Jackie, we met Kimberly, and Stephen. And so that was important for me to make those connections, again, because it's so fast-paced and moving, but making sure that we're able to make those connections day one. And I'm sure Sheila will talk about it here in a bit, but just the way those introductions take place, right? They feel we're part of the family, and everybody greets us with hugs. Hugs
I've
everyone.
never seen so many.
And
I've
so,
experienced so many hugs in my life.
right.
And they weren't really like what I could call California hugs. You know, it was heartfelt, so good to meet you, so good to see you, and so good to hear what we plan to do. It was very, very impressive. It was,
And that moved us into day two, where we woke up that next day, no one knew what to expect, excited to get to the racetracks and cheering everybody on again. Like I said, you would think that when you had the stake in the game, the way everybody was cheering. It's so easy to get wrapped up in that excitement and their culture. And after day two of the races concluded, they invited us, our leadership, to go meet with their leadership in the section they were sitting at. And from there, again, very informal. It was, we're not sitting at a table, we didn't even sit down. We just all stood in a giant circle and talked for about a half hour. And from there, it was very specific, like, all right, we got everybody together. What are we envisioning for this? What are our next steps? Basically, identifying those next steps. So we know they're coming down in March for the Denver March powwow. And so we were discussing an opportunity for them to come down a couple days earlier. So the Denver March powwow takes, we don't know the exact dates yet, but it will always take place on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday evening, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. So through these discussions, we collectively thought it would be great for them to come down a little bit early. And we haven't cleaned this up if it's gonna be Wednesday, come down Wednesday, and then we'll have Wednesday, Thursday, and then they're off Friday. But it more sounds more like we'll have them Thursday. They'll come down Thursday, all day Thursday, half day Friday as they go into their event Friday evening. And with that time frame, we were kind of discussing what could we use this time, or how could we best use this time. And you know, their leadership will be present, their elders will be present, and we would look at doing the same, having our leadership and our elders available for this interaction and this opportunity to connect. You know, we discussed how it would be a good idea for them to tour Longmont. They always just pass through. If they ever come through through Longmont for a specific meeting or event, and so that's the only place they go to. So an opportunity to tour the city, share things that we're proud of as a community here in Longmont, and an opportunity to do some sort of cultural enrichment opportunity for our community. So we don't know what that'll look like. Maybe Q&A here. Maybe some sort of presentation here, you know, since they are coming down to Denver for their presentation. They'd be open to doing something here at the Senior Center. There was discussions around an opportunity to share various artworks. So some of their artwork that's big in their, big in their culture, sharing with our seniors, and an opportunity for our seniors to share that as well. You know, I obviously am thinking a day and a half. I anticipate there being a meal in there somewhere, an opportunity for us to all sit down and share a meal together. Our elders, their elders, our leadership, and the leadership, and again, continuing to build that community, establishing that trust and building on our relationship. And I keep telling everybody it's going to be a slow process between these various opportunities to connect before we get something nailed down. And again, that speaks to their culture as well. We need to continue to develop that trust and that relationship before we set anything in stone of an exchange.
So Ronnie, I'm assuming you are the coordinator for the exchange?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that'll be me 100%.
And do you interface with the other two sister cities coordinators as well
So
to see what they've been through?
for our sister cities or
Our sister cities.
So Janice is our sister cities coordinator and director here in Longmont. And so she was a part of that trip as well.
Okay.
And so when I was invited in May to go be a part of that trip with Mayor Peck, council members, and Sister Cities representatives, which Janice was there as well. She's been looping me in to help make these connections and establish this relationship. So she would be a part of this work as well. So laying the groundwork in anticipation for that March meeting, opportunity to connect. Friends Board months ago suggested an opportunity to do a cultural CEP here, cultural enrichment program here in our gymnasium around that video, that Sister Cities video that we showed to our advisory board, our Friends Board. So show that video and have an opportunity for a Q&A as well. You know, I'm envisioning, so I'm working on this one right now for December, but I'm envisioning Carmen Palacios Ramirez, as well as Ray Ramirez, Janice from Sister Cities. You know, I'll see if Mayor Peck is available and willing to come be a part of this as well, or some of the council members who've been part of this work as well. So an opportunity to answer some questions of what this work has looked like in the past, to get us to where we're at here, you know, currently in our present, and where do we envision this going, right?
And I also think, why are we doing this? Because there was a little bit of resistance from the Friends Board. Would you agree? Yes. Well, what's this got to do with Longmont and the Senior Centre? And having done this experience, I think it's going to be a very important experience for the seniors in Longmont at the Senior Centre to get a good understanding and a good feel for the other. And it's the people who will be coming to Longmont will be able to see that we don't want anything from them except openness and friendship, because their history has been, well, whenever we meet the white man, he wants something from us, or promises something and then doesn't come through. And I think to have an open relationship of trust between the two communities will do so much good, and a basis for going ahead. And yes.
Where is it that I've heard is it the city council or the mayor that reads the proclamation about the sister cities at events now?
Yeah, it's,
there's. What is that called? I've been to events where it's
land
been.
acknowledgement.
Land acknowledgement,
Yes.
thank you. And that, can that be found online?
I'm sure it can.
Yeah.
But the thing is, so you sit there before the performance starts or the meeting starts and listen to this.
Do they know about the fact that we are incorporating the land acknowledgement in our community?
I don't know.
I think that's just an amazing thing.
It is an amazing thing, but there's a big but. So what goes from there?
Yeah.
Is all very well. I hate to say lip service, but it's lip service to make us feel better, frankly. I mean, it does make us feel better. But then what's the next step after saying, I'm very sorry, we took your land. So,
Well, that acknowledgement is huge.
it is huge, but it needs to be built on.
I think that's what's gonna happen.
Through this work.
Hopefully.
How many people actually attended this?
From our.
No, total, that were at this
Oh,
event.
there was a,
Oh, you mean the races?
there's a full crowd.
Dozens, hundreds?
I would say
Several thousand.
thousands.
Oh,
really?
And that's,
Oh, yeah.
I would say each day, thousands each day.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Now, this is not a gambling event.
No,
No, it's just a,
Well,
no, yeah.
we don't know
Yes.
if it is or isn't.
There's no place to
There
go.
might have been a few.
Okay.
No, it's representatives from each tribe competing against one another.
I don't mean to be repetitious because I think I've asked about this before, but is that video available to email?
Yep.
Can you
I
email
can
it to
send
the
it out,
board?
absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
And so, working on that CEP in December, that opportunity, we're nailing down those details for December CEP. And then as we approach March with cultural enrichment program.
Thank you.
And so as we get closer to March, we found a time in March that we're working on to see if we can get a professor from one of our local universities nearby or even Front Range who specializes in Colorado history and be able to come and do a CEP here about life for our indigenous people, our Native American families here in the Front Range, and what it looked like here in Colorado leading up to the Sand Creek Massacre, where they were forced off of the land here in the Front Range and relocated. So, for me, I'm gonna go to my own personal history. When I was in college, I remember my first semester had to take an elective. And for me, when I was going through my list of electives, it was easy. Like, oh, I'll do Colorado history. I've already been studying that, since middle school. And they started off with right out the gate, what life was like for people of color here in Colorado, with an heavy emphasis on our Native American treatment here in Colorado, and then started unpacking their history. And for me, it was eye-opening. It was just like, holy cow. I mean, I lived in Colorado my whole life. I've studied Colorado history my whole life, the education system in Colorado, and never even heard of this stuff. Like, why are we not taught about this, right? So if it was that eye-opening for me, I think it's very important for our community to have those same learning opportunities as I did as we continue to do this work. And weeks later, welcome our Northern Apple friends here to Longmont. So it's important to have that background knowledge as well. So working on those pieces.
Children, do your girls have an extended Colorado history that they learn from? I mean, has it changed with include the Sand Creek?
In the educational systems, no.
No?
But at home, yes. Provide them factual history, factual information for their own personal knowledge and awareness as well. So we celebrate Native American culture. Anytime there's any sort of celebrations in Colorado, we like to attend those. And girls are a big part of that and love to be a part of that as well. So it's important for them to know the truth. Right?
I talked to Ray yesterday, and he highly commended you and this staff for all you did in coordinating this and making this happen.
Yeah,
I think it was a big thing, a lot bigger than we didn't realize it was.
And I appreciate him. And I'm small potatoes compared to him and Carmen, who have been doing this work from the very, very, very beginning, and which has allowed us to have this opportunity, to have this discussion, to introduce something new for as new as an elder exchange, right? So, me being able to coordinate a van and get a group together, to me that's the easy stuff. The groundwork that they've laid speaks volumes of who they are as people, and just how compassionate they are, right? And so and I've told anybody who'll listen, just that was the easy part, getting everyone together. But seeing Ray and Carmen interact with our Northern Arapaho friends and see the trust and relationship that has been established is incredible, and how much they love them both ways. And just being able to see that on the outside is like, wow, they have done a lot of work to get to be in the position they are, so.
Well, it's going to be great, and hopefully most of us will be able to attend in March.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, I talked a lot. Do you want to share your experience? I don't know if you brought your report that thing.
No, I will send the report that I wrote.
I'm sorry?
I wrote a report on the trip for the Friends Board.
Oh.
And I don't know why I didn't send it to members of this board, so I will send that.
Okay.
And one thing is that you alluded to, I had expected there would be a few of these sort of meetings. And I thought, well, is this going to really accomplish something? And when I look back, yes, it did accomplish, because a different culture has a different way of making decisions and getting plans together. So that was another eye opener for me. Yes.
When I was writing Arapahoe in my notes that I take, it said that it was spelt wrong. And I think that the agenda has it spelt incorrectly.
No E.
And I think that's a really important start in understanding their culture, is to make sure that we do not include an E.
No,
Yep, no E. Oh, we did. Mine auto-corrected. Yeah, there's no.
So anyway, I just wanted to mention that if we're gonna be interfacing with a culture, we need to know how to spell it.
There's no E. It is, oh.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
I have a question. Which town in Wyoming is our sister city?
So they're at the Wind River Reservation.
So that's it, the Wind River Reservation?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And where that is in relation to.
I know where it is,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Driven through the
Okay.
area, yeah, thank you.
It's the Wind River Reservation.
And there's been 3, because it is a sister city to Longmont, official. There have been 3 exchanges of students, of young people, between the two already.
Oh,
Yes, which I don't think have been particularly well publicized. So,
and there's some really great movies out there about the Wind River area and the Arapahoes up there. I wish I could tell you, you'd have to Google that to find the movies, but there's some good stuff out there. Whether it's factual or not, I don't know. Whether they took poetic license to make the movies, I don't know, but they were really good.
So
There's a lot of women, abuse of women. I found that particularly interesting.
Right.
Today.
yeah.
Still, absolutely. Missing, right? And so there's a team that is designated to focus on missing Indigenous people, right? But specifically women, because they don't get that attention that they would in other communities. So we learned that too.
It's a girl that was in Yellowstone. If anybody watches Yellowstone, anybody here? No? The Indian that is not an Indian, by the way, Native American Indian, she was in this movie, and I think it was called Wind River.
Oh,
I think it was
that'd be interesting to see.
So the whole purpose of this was to not only allow our leadership to be their leadership, and not to, not just that, not to just have discussions around next steps towards an elder exchange, but most importantly, experience firsthand what we would be able to, through this experience, what we would be able to offer our community, our senior community here at the senior center, these opportunities, right? And so that was the major focus, and I feel like that we were successful in that, in providing that exposure of this is the takeaways. This is, you can't read this in a book, you can't watch this on a video, you have to experience it firsthand to know, right? And I think everybody walked away with that understanding from this trip.
Sheila, the report you gave to the Friends Board, is it something that you could send to us?
Yes, I intend to.
You will too? Okay,
Yes.
thank you,
I have
appreciate
a
it.
note. to do
And
that.
again, thank you for going with, representing us.
Yes.
sounds exciting.
Yeah.
it does.
Okay, any more questions?
So did you guys actually stay on the reservation, or where did you actually stay?
So
Overnight?
So this was a fairgrounds in Casper that they use for these races. So their reservation, I found out after, was 2 hours away.
Oh, okay.
So we just stayed in Casper near the fairgrounds.
Thank you.
And where will they be coming down for the Denver event in March?
I think it's around St. Patrick's Day, that's sort of 16th,
And where do
17th.
they hold it?
So that is at the Denver Coliseum.
I think, okay.
If you've ever been, it's really exciting. And that's, so again, we're looking at how we can incorporate these opportunities, learning opportunities,
Right.
in our programming. So we're looking at seeing about getting having one of our programming options, taking a group, a couple buses down to Denver Coliseum to experience that. If you've never been, it's really, really exciting. Have you ever been to the Coliseum? Everybody been to the Coliseum?
Yeah.
So the terminal is just jam-packed with vendors, number one, I mean, on both sides, all the way around the entire thing, and some on the lower level as well. And I mean, there's no space in between, it's just vendors. And with their artwork, pottery, jewelry, you name it, everything handcrafted. And then when you go to your seat, they have different groups come out. So different tribes. They acknowledge each tribe individually. They have different ceremonial dances where certain members of each tribe will come out to perform, and so it's just different variations and different groups of celebration in the middle of the Coliseum. So it's really, really cool. There's no other way to say it. It's really cool to experience.
All right, well, thank you.
It's March 17th through the 19th.
For 2024? Was that 20?
No, no, they don't have it. I
Okay.
guess they don't have it because
So
it says 2023.
Yeah, so,
Okay,
Sorry,
I've
I'm
been
glad
looking.
you said that.
Yeah, I've been looking. But it's usually around that same time frame.
That sounds neat.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate both of you. Now we're back to the housing update, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, Sheila and Lonnie?
I'm afraid I do not have anything to report on this at this time. Lonnie may.
I honestly don't, and Sheila and I haven't been able to get together, but we will make that commitment by the next meeting,
Yes.
to come together and get a plan in place that we're looking at as far as what areas we're going to start to work in.
Yeah, because I think we could see from what Amy had said that housing is maybe the most
Very
important issue currently facing senior citizens. Oh, can I just add something? This is totally off the walls. I talked to a friend who was in somewhere other than the Front Range, and this business called Senior Citizens, the Wise.
Oh,
So instead of saying seniors, the Wise, W-I-S-E, you may look confused. I thought that was a absolutely unnecessary and patronizing way to treat older people. Okay, I've got it off my chest.
Saying the wise,
Yes,
you didn't approve of the wise, right?
I did not. I mean, you may think that it's.
There are some elders that may not be too wise.
Exactly,
Right.
yes. And it's, yeah. I mean, calling people the wise means that you can call them what you like, but if you don't treat them as you would somebody who is wise, that means absolutely nothing. Sorry. I can tell you disagree with me, but
Okay,
that's what we're here for.
Elders is better than wise.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
prefer that.
yeah, I think
Sorry.
senior citizens is just, puts a group out there that, I don't know, not everybody wants to fit into that. It just needs a different name, is the way I kind of look at it, and I don't know what the name is it needs, but.
Well, in fact, in a previous iteration of the council, we did discuss at some length what to call the senior centre,
Yeah.
if it wasn't the senior centre. And as you can see, it's still called the senior centre.
Elder
is-
powwow.
Yeah, and it is nationally, and it's just,
Yes,
I think it's kind of off-putting to some people. So if you're 55 and it says senior center, it's like, okay, that's
for them.
It's
not
a-
there yet.
yeah. And so I think nationally, I think it needs to be changed, but that's not probably gonna happen. But that's been my concern for years.
Oh, yes, well, I think
I just think it's very off-putting.
maybe moved to Longmont and thought senior centre. That's for old people.
Yeah.
What names were considered, do you remember?
There was a lot of talk,
Right.
but we did not come up with anything.
I have a lot of thoughts about the age, starting at the age of 55 as well. I think that is archaic. I think it's passé. We are aging further as a population, and I think 55 is too young. And I've seen other senior centers that don't start at 55. And that's another conversation for another time probably, but I just wanted to bring it forward.
Yeah, I agree with that.
We've talked about this for a while on the
Yes.
thing, and it is difficult.
Pick something up from the Arapaho.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe other municipalities have an idea.
Yeah, we see what others are, but most of them are still called senior centers, I think.
Yes.
If they're located within a rec center or something like that, I think it's a different situation, but.
55 plus.
Standalone.
Okay, transportation update?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Since Dave's wanted to make sure that I actually had something. So what I did was I've had some concerns about transportation issues and seniors and all that kind of stuff since I moved here. And I did meet with a city engineer just to kind of talk through some things with him, to see how off base I was and to see if anything's even being considered. So I've written down a few things here that I thought we could think about, and then I don't know where he wants to go from there. So one of the first things is the microtransit bus, which I understand has now received, it's either $450,000 or $475,000 on a grant. And if you remember, when Greenwald was here, they were asking for $600,000. So they did get that, which is exciting because if that comes to fruition, what I see is you being able to call and within 30 minutes you should be able to get a ride, which now you have to call via at least a week in advance, and then maybe you're going to get a ride, maybe not. The other thing is cost, and I think this is something that maybe we should push for if the city could make it a free ride. Otherwise, it needs to be really low. It needs to be $1 or $2, which I think is what they're looking at this point, $1 or $2 a ride. Via charges $6 one way. So if you have to go to dialysis, which is 3 times a week, if you have to take via, that's $36. And if you're, a lot of people that are on dialysis are also on a fixed income, regardless of their age. That's a tremendous hit to them. So I think as far as cost goes, I'd like to see, maybe we need to advocate for the city to at least give this free or really a low cost on it. And the other thing is that it's going to hit all areas of town. I know now that the area of town that I live in does not have bus service. So we either have to have our cars, or we call via, or something like that in order to get around. This will cover all the areas of town. So I'm hoping that this is something that starts in 2024, but I don't know. I know they need to get some additional funding set up, but there's a couple of things I think we can advocate for. We can advocate for the cost. I think that that's critical to everybody. Okay, that was number 1. Number 2, I'm sure that you all know that the cross lights on Main are in now, and prior to them being in, I had talked to this gentleman. And it is the city of Longmont and LDDA, the downtown Longmont, that provided the monies to get those in. So I think that that's great that we've got people who are actually advocating. And that is a definite safety issue. I mean, I don't like going downtown and you try to cross in the middle of the street, that's crazy. And you can't see the people for another thing too, when you're driving or even when you're walking. And I think that this came about to a certain extent through Vision Zero. And I just thought, my understanding of Vision Zero is that instead of looking at traffic flow so much, it's looking at pedestrians. And if I'm wrong about this, that's my understanding. And maybe it would be kind of nice to have somebody explain Vision Zero to us, because I know that they've got some ideas of what they're doing, and if it's pedestrian minded rather than vehicle so much, what's their thinking on it? Are we looking at crosswalks? Are we looking at safe walking areas? What are we looking at? So I just think that that's something kind of to look at. Street signs. Now, this is something that really kind of bothers me when I'm driving and I don't know where I'm going. The street signs are not the same. So you'll be driving down the street and there will be a sign way on this end of the light. And then you'll come to the next one, it'll be in the middle. A majority of the lights, go across the intersection. I think that we need to get those street signs out to where when you're going down the road, you can see it. When the trees are in full leaf,
At the major intersections.
you cannot see those signs until you get right up to them, and then you're in the wrong lane. So I think that's something that really needs to be looked at. And yes, I understand that not every one of those arms is as big as another one, but still, I think there's a way to get that sign over there. So that's something that I'm thinking of. And I think they need to be the same color. You have one that's black and you have one that's green, and they're all hard to read anyway from a distance. But that is something that could be really easy fixed, that street signage, I think. And it would be really everybody that comes through town would have that.
Great suggestion.
Okay, street crossings. Some of the lights, I think, need to be longer for pedestrians to get across. And I'm going to give you an example of what I encountered last week when I went to the library, which came from your building. The Village on Main, which is actually called Village Place right now. I think it's going to be called Village on Main after the syndication remodel of it. Is right there at 6th and Main. And there was this street sign there, and I understand that. But I had been down at the library at their wonderful buy a bag of books for $5 day. And I happened to see this lady on the sidewalk in front of my car with her walker, heading towards the library. And I knew where she came from because I knew her. And I thought, how did she get across that street safely? Because I don't know that the light stays, cross light stays white for her long enough to get across. So I think this is something, and the engineer even said, if you see intersections and you have somebody that you'd like to see them get across, time it. Walk with them across. And if it doesn't allow them to get across safely, then we need to know this. So this is something we need to take a look at. Usually I can get across, but sometimes if you're crossing some of those big intersections over, 3rd, some of those big intersections, you gotta really huff it across there to get across.
Just able-bodied people.
Yeah, and so I think that we need to take a look at that. So that's something I think that we can take a look at too. And I honestly don't know, and I asked this question, I don't know if every street light intersection has the blind notification on it, where you can hear the little beep, so blind people know. I wonder if that's something that needs to be on every one. Because blind people can get out and get around regardless, especially if they have someone with them or they even have a senior dog. I think that's right. The other thing I asked about was diagonal crossings. There is one in Estes Park, at least one that I know of. Estes Park isn't near as big as Longmont. What's the possibility of maybe diagonal crossings? In a diagonal crossing goes like this. If you want to get to the other side of the street, why do we have to go this way and this way? Why can't we go this way? So that is, well, I planted the seed, let's put it like that. I don't know if anything's going to happen, but I think it's something that, why don't we take a look at it? I'm sure there are places in town where that would be very advantageous for people.
It would have to be a real high traffic. The reason it works in Estes is because it's such a high pedestrian traffic.
Yeah. So 3rd and Main, for instance, that's a busy street. And that might be
9th, 17th.
Yeah, you've got some busy streets that it might be something to actually look at.
At that point, we'd have to be looking at longer time too.
Yeah.
Because it'd be
Yeah.
about
Sure.
further
And
going.
people would get used to it. When the light's red, and of course we have a lot of people that run red lights, but anyway. Okay, so one of my really big concerns is the train horn. I don't know if the train horn bothers anybody else, but it really bothers me. And I know that they are working on that, so I think that, as we are thinking about it, if you ever talk to anybody from the engineering department in the city, You know, you just might mention that it sure is gonna be nice when we get the quiet zones. Which I thought were coming in 2023 and I haven't
I
seen them
did
yet.
too. What happened to
Yeah.
that?
So,
Well, the year's not over.
no, that's not.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's it. And then the other thing in regard to seniors and getting to different things, I've been asked, so I guess I probably need to explain that. One of the things that we do with the housing authority is that we have a shopping van, or a shopping bus actually, that twice a month takes people from the facilities to shopping. And I will tell you that and I usually ride that as a volunteer. There are people that go every single time and they get quite a bit of groceries, so I know that this is something that they need. However, they have asked me, how can we go to some of the city functions? Some of the city events that they have going on in the summertime, they close off streets. How can we get to those? And so I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I can check with VIA. We just went this week shopping and the driver and I talked about this quite a bit as to how we could figure that out. The other thing is that you're talking, and it doesn't actually have to be just the housing people, that those are places that I know they would go, but there's other places in town where people might really like to have a ride and not worry about parking. You know, if you can get you down there and pick them up in an hour, I think that that's something that we could really take a look at. And again, it needs to be a reasonable cost to get them there. So I don't know what the city has as far as, I don't know what the senior center has as far as vehicles that would maybe take people around, what the cost would be and how that would work. I don't know whether Parks and Rec has anything, so I don't know what the city has. I hate to depend upon VIA when their prices keep going up. Because right now, I will tell you that in order for us to do the shopping routes, it's $90 an hour for us to do that, which I think is expensive.
How much?
But $90 an hour for us to do that. So, and we do get the same van and we get the same driver for that amount of time, which is about 6-7 hours. But that's a pretty significant hit, which the city has been nice and given us money for it, but that's gonna run out in 2025.
How many people can ride in that vehicle at a time?
You can get 20 people in there and you can get 1 to 2 wheelchairs.
So it's a CDL driver too.
You know,
It has to be more than 20. 14 is the number. If it goes above 14, it has to have a CDL.
I was trying to think how many we had in there yesterday, or Tuesday. 6, 8. Seemed to me that there was seating for 16 in there. We didn't have 16 people in there at one time, but there you can do 1 or even 2 wheelchairs. We haven't had 1 wheelchairs, but boy, they really tack those things down. Those things aren't going to move once they've got those in there, those wheelchairs. But anyway, it did good. My understanding is I don't think maybe VIA does, maybe they are CDL, I don't know. I thought my understanding was that they weren't, but yes. So those were the things that I came up with as suggestions and things that I think are going on, and we can certainly talk about it more. I think there's areas where we can advocate for some things for not just seniors, but for everybody in the community.
You said there's a charge with VIA?
Yes, not for the people ride free.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you said there was.
Well, for VIA, if you're gonna take and go to a doctor, yes, it's $6 one way.
Oh.
So it's $12 a round trip ride.
I think no guarantee they'll be picked up.
And a lot of people who
No,
have
I know it.
insurance don't realize that they have transportation through their insurance free.
And that's, yeah,
So that's something, an outreach could be done on that as well, right?
right.
I've never looked into it, but I know that I've heard from people from the community, seniors, that Uber is quite expensive here
It is.
Oh, very,
in
It
Longmont
is.
yeah.
compared to other communities. Is there, do we know if there's any, why is that? Is that because we're a smaller community? and
I think
use this
Uber's
often?
expensive anywhere you go, yeah. I've ridden Uber and I just think it's expensive
There's more
anywhere you go.
competition in bigger cities, so they can keep their costs down more, but
Yeah, okay.
maybe less,
There are tons of drivers, yeah.
less drivers in Longmont so they can keep the costs high.
That's a
Okay.
good,
Yeah, I paid, when I was in Florida, going to a cruise ship, I paid less here than what some of the people were paying to get round trip here in Longmont.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you take a chance on
Not getting there on time.
what you're gonna get too.
Any questions?
Let me give you a quick update of what I know about the crossing signs on Main Street.
The new ones that they're in?
Not the two in the individual, not mid
Oh, okay,
things, but just the crossing signs at each intersection.
okay.
I addressed that myself, back a ways. I brought it to the LDDA meeting in March, actually. They said they've been working on it. They said the city gave them a whole explanation of why they can't just switch the times, that it sets off a chain of events all the way down the street and all that sort of thing. So, however, I put in a service works request and I got one back saying, and I was looking for it, I wish I had it. It said that they were working on it and they were gonna start in late 2023 throughout 2024 and start switching every intersection to longer lights. So they have it in place, the plan is in place, they just have to do it.
They have to do it.
But they're definitely gonna do it, and I was pointing out the fact that to get across the street at the pump house, from Village Place to the pump house, people had to walk with people on walkers to stop the cars when the light turned green,
Right,
so that they had enough time to get across the street.
right.
So from that, from mentioning that in Service Works, I got a very nice reply saying, we are definitely diligently working on this and it'll be 2023 and 2024. So hopefully that's
It's their
gonna
computer.
be an improvement.
And they did tell me that it's their computer system, and of course, they have an old system and they have a new system, and I got the whole.
Yeah,
Which
exactly.
I didn't talk about.
I thought of something about the diagonal crossing like they do in Estes Park. Maybe that could be handled during special events. I mean, I don't see that we have that much foot traffic to warrant that right now. But during special events, oh my gosh, they could have special volunteers or traffic people for special events to do the diagonal crossing and it would solve a lot of issues
Especially for.
when Main Street isn't closed for those. Like the Christmas tree lighting I'm thinking of and, other events like that happen downtown.
I wonder if the fact that Main Street is a state highway, that must add some complexity to these changes.
Probably,
You know,
because it always added a complexity to closing it. So, let me just tell you one other thing too. I know at Village Place, we decided we really wanted to kick up the Christmas activities that we wanted to kind of plan for everybody. So we were talking about what goes on outside of our building, like the museum show, like the Hearts of Longmont show, the barbershop does a big event. And we were saying the only problem is transportation. Nobody wants to take 4 people in their car. I would do it in a heartbeat, but other people have concerns about the legal. Right.
Yeah.
So, we started to look into transportation and we are having difficulty finding a van that could take 10 or 15 people on a Sunday afternoon to go to Vance Brand, auditorium to see the Nutcracker.
Yeah, and I think that's part of what how do we get people to these special events? You're right.
Exactly.
It's finding an event, VIA runs Monday through Friday, and then if they will sometimes do special events, and it's nice, then you don't have to park your car, and you get right up there and they get you right to the door, which is fine. But what do we use for vehicles? I don't know what Longmont has. I mean, I walked through the parking lot here and there's a big silver van out there. I don't know who that belongs to. It says Longmont Senior Services or something.
What senior has two,
vans.
yeah, recreation has
Are
two
they-
the same size in this minivan.
Is there any way that we could work something out?
Are they available for rental?
During Rhythm of the River, on the river when it was at Rogers Grove, Black Shuttle provided shuttle service, and they're a local business. I noticed
They're
that.
expensive too.
In the
But there
water-
was
no,
also
what's it
somebody
called?
else that drove a van the last year we were down there.
Well, what I'm saying is for special things, that could be employed.
But it's expensive.
But that is, yeah,
You're
they're
talking
private
about
company.
Shan, the 8 black.
Eight black, yeah, thank you.
Because then we also rented charter buses too to do that with them.
Right, from the parking lot to
Back
over.
and forth, yeah.
So it wouldn't be feasible financially to shuttle.
Yeah,
Do you know,
I don't think so.
do you know of any place that might fulfill what we're looking for? To take 10 to 20 people to an event?
I think we need to have some time to look at it and
Okay.
just see, you mentioned, Arlene, $90 an hour, right? Just to see what we could do it for.
Because even the people, I think, would be willing to kick in a couple of dollars if it could get them to go into these events.
Right.
And I think if we keep it reasonable for the people, then.
But how would they transport them from their homes?
Well,
I
yeah,
mean, nobody's gonna wanna go around
Yeah, it's
on
gotta
the event
come,
day.
it's gotta come to
Right.
a meeting
A hub,
place,
right.
yeah.
unless you were willing to, for instance, go to the different housing authorities where you would pick up, 5 or 6 people.
Right.
And you'd have maybe 2 or 3 vans could go around. I mean, there's 9 housing authorities, 9 facilities. It's a matter of can we even come up with something to transport the people? Then I think we could figure out whether we could have a couple of different places that you could pick them up and whatnot.
My immediate reaction is it's gonna have to be a budget request.
Oh, yeah.
Because we don't have the resources or the budget to do that right now, but could be something we looked at to request for 25.
25.
Yeah.
So if we came up with an idea of what the cost would be, took a look at that cost and said, if we charged each person this amount of money, that would cut down on it. Is there a way that we could go to the city and say, can you give us this amount of money, this is what it's for, out of the contingency fund?
Well,
That's
you
not
all
what it's
can do
called.
whatever you want. We can't do that.
I know, but we gotta come up with something first of what's it's gonna cost.
I think we certainly need to run some numbers and then, we can come back with what our thoughts are and then you can decide whether you think that's a go to council kind of thing.
I've asked
And
before, I don't know.
Something that bothers me is that so many things that are offered serve such a small percentage of our senior population, and it just seems to me
We need to get them there.
that,
I would just say that if there was a lot of money to be made in this and it was gonna pay for itself, there'd be people doing it right now. And I think the challenge is that it becomes hit and miss where at first you get 30 people wanting to go. And then after a period of time, it's down to 15 and then it's down to 6 and there's no way to keep it financially moving forward.
Right.
Is this something that the Friends Board might consider helping with?
I think we need to better flush this out before we would go to them.
No, and I agree, gonna have.
So if you could give Ronnie and I for the next month so that we can come back with information in November and kind of continue that part of the conversation then.
That'd be great.
Well, and I know that, you're maybe looking at this city vehicles. Would anybody even be willing to talk to Chen about, I think that's his last name, about as part of a community situation, would you be willing to donate a certain portion of time or your vehicle to getting people around? And it's mostly summer, but then, maybe Christmas. I think what would be really, really fun, and they've asked for this, is to be able to take them around and look at Christmas lights.
Yes, we're looking into that right now.
Yeah.
In
Senior
fact, I was
Services,
gonna ask-
I know has done that in historically.
Right. Is there a plan this year to have a holiday lights night where people meet at the senior center and get on the,
Not that I'm aware.
Or even
That was
paper-
great when they did,
the
they used to
paper
do
come
that.
out with
Yeah.
Where the
It
places
was
are.
great, and I missed
Yeah,
it
that's
last
another
year.
Yeah.
I mean, it was open, the senior center was open, but there were no, I mean, there wasn't much offered.
Are you talking about for Longmont lights?
Mhm.
Okay. I think we're talking two different.
Oh,
Yeah.
what are you talking, I'm sorry?
I think what was being asked is a vehicle to drive people around to look at the lights
no,
around
yeah.
town.
Right.
Not in this catalog, but we have
It's
done
not.
that before.
yeah,
And sometimes the brew hop trolley.
right. That's who I'm in contact with
non-affiliated
now,
us. Yeah.
is to find out if we wanted to rent it for a night, what it would cost.
Yeah.
And then if we don't want to rent it, if it's too high, then could we join? Could we buy tickets for one of the nights that they do offer to the public? And just,
Yeah.
could they pick us up at Village Place? And,
They'd be able to fit a lot more people too, for the size of their vehicle.
right, and then they're already planning it anyway, so wouldn't need, wouldn't need to have anything planned, it's already going on. So it looks like this year, we're kind of leaning towards that, just making tickets available to people who want to buy them.
I think we need to find out what the transportation would cost us so we have an idea of, one, does it even sound feasible? And how do we get our seniors out? And,
Yeah.
because so many of them don't have cars.
Right.
And the pandemic just really did a hit on a lot of them. So, yeah. But they love it when we go out and we do grocery shopping and all we do is take them to the grocery store. It's just getting out and, walking through the store and getting groceries. I mean, it's just the fact that they're actually getting out in the way.
Interacting with other people.
Yeah, and
that sort
they
of
do.
thing.
They have a good time on the bus though.
Let's give Ronnie and Jeff an opportunity to get together, and I think we should probably maybe even have an agenda for next month, since the holidays are coming pretty soon.
So those were the things I came up with. So.
Okay.
Very good, thank you.
And outreach,
For outreach, Art and I didn't have a chance to get together. I made notes when Dave Brenna and I got together at Red Frog to discuss outreach, and we had a really good conversation. And I'm just gonna hit some highlights. He brought me up to speed. Oh, can I ask one question first? Is there any kind of, when I joined the board, I didn't get any kind of indoctrination or documents or anything like that. Did you, Sheila, when you joined the board?
No.
I think it would be nice for new board members to have some kind of, what would you call it, Jeff?
We can get that.
Background.
You want it electronically, or do you want it hard binder?
Oh, well, I think electronically is fine, but I just think, we talked about that. He said, did you get anything? And I said, no.
Okay, we can get that.
but we used to get a folder at one time.
Well, that's what he was talking about,
Right,
like,
and
Yeah.
that would be great on there to.
Hard
Yeah.
copy.
I think both should be available,
Like I
actually.
have it in my hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know we have a lot of hard copy. I don't know, it might be, I think it depends on what you want, because if you want it electronic, there might be a lot.
I don't think a new board member would know what they want. I just
Yeah.
think that,
Just knowing
But we would be able to get a hard copy for,
I mean, we
So
used to.
everybody wants one?
Yeah,
well, just the new board members, I have one.
You have one, okay.
I don't.
Sheila doesn't.
Okay.
Lonnie,
Yep, we'll have
all
those.
of us.
Some guidance.
Yeah, I just think it's a nice thing to, when somebody comes on the board,
Gives a
to
little
have something.
background.
And I prefer electronic, but, because I don't like paper, I don't have paper anymore. I have holding paper in my hand, but it's on my computer. So that was just one thing I wanted to mention that we talked about, which has nothing to do with outreach. I'm just reading the notes here. He brought up the AAA Area Agency on Aging, the past, present, future report, but that has been sent out to new board members. Did you guys get one of those? Well, you obviously have one. but do you have one? They are available online on the Area Agency on Aging website. It's called Past, Present, Future Report, September 2019, but it was attached to our minutes at one meeting that I've attended. So, would you like Ronnie to attach that to the minutes?
Sure, if you'd like to.
It's the
I can look it up if I'm the only one.
AAA.
Yeah.
Are you the only one?
Am I the only one?
Yeah.
That didn't see
Okay,
it?
that makes
I
it
got
easy.
one, but
It's real easy to find. I found it
Okay,
online.
I can find
And
it.
it's downloadable.
It's up to you whether you want to attach it to everybody's minutes, but
And who took over? You're running, or who's running that group?
from here,
Yeah.
I'm the representative.
Okay.
Oh,
So you're saying you want this attached to each meeting's?
no, not at all. I just wondered if all the new board members were aware of that document and had it. And you're the only one that doesn't have it, so, yeah. So she'll get her
I will
own.
look it
You don't
up.
have to attach it, Ronnie.
Yeah, I'll get it.
Okay.
But if somebody new comes on board, that would be a good thing for them to have. I don't know. Okay, outreach. We talked about that the changes have to be incremental and start very small. I'm talking about incremental change for Latinos. And then we talked about what is our charge, meaning what should we provide? And we put, and I'm not sure what this means, find 1 or 2 activities to send Latino to the Latino community. I'm not sure what that means. Carmen at the city, what is her last name? That's the expert on the Latino
Ramirez.
population. What's her last name?
Ramirez.
Ramirez. And she is available how? She's in what department?
She's in shared services. She is the director of community and neighborhood resources.
Oh,
and she has.
She
been
spoke
present
to us.
She has,
Yes.
yes.
community and
She's-
neighborhood resources?
She's the Carmen that Ronnie was referring to with the,
Sister cities.
yeah.
Neighborhood resources. So I would just call this, we would just call the city to get in touch with her.
You might also want to reach out to Veronica Garcia here,
Oh, okay.
because she would know more about this if we're already doing for Latino outreach and programs.
To Veronica. What's Veronica's last name?
Garcia. And with her, it's probably easier to email her.
Garcia via email. Are you getting all this, Art?
And she's right here on your,
You're the chief.
Oh, yeah.
she's right here on your handout for email.
Oh, okay, on handout, okay. And she's with us. Senior Center. And then, Lashley Street Center. I brought up, I don't know if I brought this up here before, but I thought it would be an excellent community center for Latinos. Senior center. Annex, community center. It doesn't just have to be seniors, but a community center for Latinos on the east side of town. I think they would be more apt to use something like that, some people, than to come here, referring to seniors. That was one thing we talked about. What were you gonna say?
So what you're saying is a separate senior center for Latinos and then this one. I thought,
Not separate, but like, just catering to their needs, because I have heard on the short time I've been on the board that that some seniors are not apt to come here. But if there's something on their side of town, they may find out more information about the senior services and the programs available, and they could have some programs in Spanish at a location there. It's just something that I thought would be beneficial for the population.
So you're saying either a community, not necessarily a senior center, but a community center?
Maybe a combined.
Right, so senior services shares the use of that facility, so.
Shares.
Yeah, senior services could not go in and completely convert that. I believe it's Monday and Wednesdays, senior services has access to do programming. It's Monday or Wednesday or Tuesday, Thursday.
Already?
I would
Yeah.
love to see the schedule of programming for that building, because I don't see cars there ever,
I would agree with that.
ever. And so I think that needs to be revisited.
We're
Rubber
so-
needs to get out.
Over
The old
the
fire
years.
station.
Heritage Middle School?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're actually evaluating that current
Good,
for future programming.
good.
The other issue with that is that there was money put to remodel that facility that requires that youth programming takes place there. So senior services cannot take over.
Well, it requires it, but if they're not using it,
Doesn't matter. Money was there. It has to be
was
available.
it a
to them.
donation?
So it's a
No,
priority.
it was a federal or state marijuana money.
So it's a priority then, is that
It-
you
it-
get priority?
Yes, has to be, based
I guess-
on the remodel of that building.
I guess and maybe I'm looking at this differently, but I just thought that we were trying to do a diversity, equity, inclusion thing, and I don't see this as an inclusion and granted, I know that they need it in their own language and everything, but, it just seems like it is not an inclusion thing, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
I think, I agree with you, that to be inclusive, we need to have people come here. But
Well,
I
we need
think,
to go there.
yeah,
I mean,
and I think that's what Beth is suggesting is going there is at Lashley Street Station, because that's closer to that neighborhood. And so I think that's a legitimate thing. It just can't be,
What do they say about percentage of use? What do they say, I mean, what are the specifics of that?
I just know
I
enough to
think
be
we need to
dangerous.
research that.
So
Who do we find out?
Christina will have that information.
Christina?
Check her.
Who is that?
Who's Christina?
She's Ronnie's boss. She's the Director of Human Services, which Senior Services is a part of.
Could we get together with her about that? Have you gotten together with her about, you haven't had a need to get together about that
About
specific
specific
question?
usage there, so we have had some discussion around it, and my understanding is, as Jeff was mentioning, because of how funds were tied to the renovation, it was parsed out. So CYF, Children and Family, has, I believe it's from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. every single night, Monday through Friday. We have, it's Tuesday, Thursday, I believe, like 8 to 3 p.m. And then Recreation has those other
What's
days.
Christina's last name?
Pacheco,
P-A-C-H-E-C-O,
ECO.
and she is
Human
Director of
Resources.
Human Services.
Director of Human Services.
And we can put that on the agenda and give a whole history of the Lashley Street Station.
Would it be okay if I just met with her personally?
Oh, no, you can't. Absolutely.
I mean, I'd be really interested in how it's parsed out.
But as for our days that were designated to the senior services, we're evaluating programming, how we can increase that.
And you have Monday, Wednesday from what to what?
Tuesday, Thursdays, and I believe it's like.
Oh, you have Tuesday, Thursdays?
Yeah, it's Tuesday, Thursday,
From like 8 to 3, I
Yeah.
believe.
8 to 3, okay.
Recreation has it on Friday after 5 and on weekends if people want to reserve that for events.
And have they used it, do you know?
Yes, it is, that building has lots of capacity. We were just getting it, to a point, and then COVID hit and it really kind of messed everything up in that building.
And there's still opportunity to program outside of our designated dates and times if it works with recreation.
So
This
they're
is
not
just-
using it? If they're not-
Right, so hey, we were thinking about this,
Right.
and of course they'd have priority because it's their designated days. if they're not
If nothing
programming,
is planned.
right, and we've done the same as well.
Yeah, I'd be interested in what kind of programs recreation would use that for from Friday on and weekends.
It's only reservation for rentals. And nobody else does that, so that's how recreation.
For
works.
rentals,
Yes,
for anybody.
anybody.
Over the summer.
So could that be eliminated because you have other facilities that can be used for rental?
Not necessarily, because the capacity is available, because generally programming for both youth and for senior services takes place Monday through Friday. That's been the history of that. So recreation offered to manage the rentals as another way to expand the usage of that facility.
Well, I have designated days, example, so over the summer, there's construction on Isaac Walton, where the recreation had some programs going out of in the summertime. We relocated over to Lashley because of,
For no reason, by the way.
right, because they didn't do.
Right, so Isaac Walton soon, we've been saying that for 18 months now, will have some impacts because the Corps of Engineers are coming in to do the work on the dike there by the river and the pond. And so we were preparing based on the dates we'd been given before, and we were moving some of the Isaac Walton things over to Lashley Street Station. Well,
It hasn't
Corps
happened,
never
has it?
know. So we keep doing these starts and stops with that. But I believe the Corps is out to bid right now, and that project should start late this year or early next year, which would then again require us to move some things to Lashley.
So let me ask you this, which it doesn't really have a lot to do with this, but with the open enrollment coming up now, are you guys looking at putting people over there at Lashley and serving the Hispanic community over there? Because I think they probably don't know a whole lot about
Not specific.
Open
Spanish
enrollment,
for Medicare.
oh,
Medicare, yeah.
no, generally not. So there's many things that happen. So the city owns the building. We will lose access to our own building for 2 to 3 weeks when it's election time. County comes in, actually change the locks of the building, and they use that for their basis for ballot. And it's all a security thing, so no one else, including the city, can use
Do
that.
they rent that from the city?
No.
They take it.
Is there another option for them?
Apparently not, because we've argued that didn't really work for us. During COVID, it made total sense.
Yeah,
It-
right.
It worked out well. But now that there is something in their powers that allow them to take over the building. So they
There's a
will
huge
be.
building at the hub for that use too.
They don't wanna-
And it's open, it's not used at night.
they
It's
don't-
May
I just
Can I
don't
suggest?
I'm
shoot the
sorry,
messenger.
anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if we move on and if there was.
Okay.
We
more
will,
than
we
that,
will have Lashley Street Station on the agenda. I'm not saying you can't meet with Christina, but we'll have that for the greater good, if you will.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
That sounds good to me. A couple other things related to this. I wasn't able to get together with Art to talk about who can lead us in providing what Latinos want, and that's something that, Art, you need to maybe generate. What are their top priorities? Brandy and Ronnie, what is your take on what the 3 top critical areas of serving senior Latinos would be? Is what one thing we want to get together with you two and find out in the future. Just to give you a heads up on that. And oh, I'm just gonna read this because I'm not really sure. The board wants to make recommendations that benefit the senior community. Harold Dominguez receives these and he goes to council. Harold has power about what goes up and back down again. Annual report is critical. We need to go, when we do our annual report as a board, that's critical. We need to go a step further in creating equity in senior services delivery and re-examine what is delivered and who is being served. Is this truly the city council mission as is stated in their vision statement? We had a lot of questions about that, and we can bring that up again. Incremental changes is what Carmen said when she was with us. Outreach to the Hispanic, regarding outreach to the Hispanic community. I already kind of mentioned that. And we talked about, since David isn't here to share with us today, we talked about reducing our goals as a board to definable, measurable, specific, and able to be implemented goals. Because, you know, we're doing these three different areas, we're doing research on those, but we can't do everything. We have to really reduce that, and I just wanted to bring that up so we can be thinking about that. And I think, and the other thing is, some people use the term Hispanic, some people learn to use the term Latino, Latinx. I mean, there's so many different things going around. My understanding and my research show that Latinx is the most widely used in the US. Latinx is a gender neutral or non-binary alternative to Latino. That said, with the senior population, I think Hispanic is still the most accepted.
Hispanic and Latino both are.
Yeah, because
And there's
you
Latino,
mentioned
which is male, right? And Latina, which is female. And I just think we need to have a discussion about how we refer to that population at some point in time.
And usually when you're talking about the Latino population, I mean, if you're talking in general, Latino covers a male and female both.
For the community.
Right, things.
Okay.
But, I mean, if you're referring to them, of course, it's Latino, but Latino in general speaking, if you give a report on the Latino community, not the Latina community, you know, that's just.
And they're not using the word Latinx, which includes.
I mean, they're using it, sure, they're using it, but
Okay.
it depends on who it is and what they're going
Their
to
age
use.
group probably.
Yeah, could be.
Okay, that's it.
Well, one of the things that I've done is I've done some talking to some people in the community, and one of the things is, and it's going to be a difficult thing because it's going to involve money, of course, unless we can get somebody, you know. From what I'm hearing, the senior centers, they're booked. I mean, the staff is busy, and they don't have that. But, you know, if we can have some kind of like a calling tree where we invite, in other words, if we get 10 people to an activity, get their names, phone numbers, address, whatever, and then start calling these people every time there's activities, you know, until we can, and ask them to invite somebody else to come with them. To hopefully increase the activities here at the center.
Sorry, are you talking about with Latino programming?
Yes.
So we actually do that. We have a call tree, we have volunteers who call.
Oh, you
So
do?
It's working great.
Well,
yeah.
good. That's
Oh,
what
that's great.
that's good to hear. And continue with that. One of the things is I talked to somebody about possibly getting on the board. And she told me she was considering doing it. And she is one of the people I think that is involved in calling and says would like to get more involved on that if she gets on the board here. So Josefa Gonzalez, I forget what her last name is.
Yeah.
But I invited her to come to the board, but I didn't get a call back from her. And then the other thing we talked about is just trying to get as many, somehow set up get an appointed meeting with some people from the Hispanic community and seeing if we can talk to them as a group, because talking individually is difficult. But if we can try to get a group meeting together and talk about some of the needs, or some of the wants, I should say, you know, that'd be a good thing that we can do. And of course, that includes, you know, increasing some of the activities that we have. Now, the information I have is some of the activities that we have that are attended by the Spanish speaking community is a fair representation. Am I clear on that? You know, I've heard that they're getting a good turnout for all these activities that we do have at this time. And hopefully we can continue with that, expand on that, and get more people involved with that. So that's one of the things I wanted to talk about, and just say. Okay, can managers report?
Yeah. So,
And,
just wanna,
I just wanted to say that we only have 15 minutes.
Yes, I'll be quick. That's why I always start with, everybody's had my report in advance. Does anybody have any questions?
Right.
I'll hit on a couple key things, and if not, we've been approved to hire another senior recreation programmer for January 2024, so that'll expand our programming team. Again, addressing some of those concerns that we had when I first started, and just continuing to grow that team in that space, allowing us to program.
That's a full-time person?
So, yes.
Great.
It will be one FTE. We're currently, so we conducted another survey here at the Senior Center, just to kind of focus more on our age demographics and see who we're serving and at what capacity. And this will just, we sent out this survey by email, by mail, physical mail, and in-person options as well for them. So last I checked, and this was early in that week that we were collecting these surveys. We at that point had over 400, I believe it was at that time. That was only on Tuesday. So this information, we're gonna kind of break it down next week. It's just gonna help us give a better idea again of who we're serving at what capacity, who's accessing our resources, and who's coming to us for what. So that'll allow us to just take that information, start examining it, breaking it down to make future decisions of areas of focus. So be more intentional in whether it be programming, resources we're offering, whether it be. So
How soon might you have that information?
we meet next Thursday.
So do you think you have a report for the November meeting then?
Yes, so we'll bring whatever information we have from that meeting into our next board meeting.
Okay.
So we hosted Senior Law Day here over the weekend on Saturday. We had over 100 participants in attendance, and it was just a great opportunity for our community to learn about various topics. I listed a few of them. I'll share a few of them verbally. Serving as estate planning for peace of mind, strengthening supports, addressing financial exploitation, neglect, and abuse later in life, how to pick a lawyer, tips and resources for trying to figure out the right attorney and client fit. So there's 9 total different options that we provided, but again, it's just opportunities for our community to participate in these classes and learn more about these areas. Our programming team, we're at full capacity for once since I've been here. And so it's a great feeling. Our team hit the ground running. You had an opportunity to meet Amy Hodge and Valerie Rodriguez at our last board meeting, who were just hired at that point. I realized that Ariana here, we have not had a chance to introduce her to our advisory board. She's our therapeutic motivation coordinator here, and splits half time here with us here at the Senior Center and half with recreation. So I wanted to turn it over to Ariana, and a chance for you to ask her any questions and a chance for her to share her background.
Yeah, so I have been with the city since May, but the first 4 months I was exclusively at rec during the summer because we had camp and a lot of stuff going on. So I've been here at the Senior Center for probably about 2 months. I have my master's degree in recreational therapy, and I come from a background of nonprofit, so working for the city has been a little bit of a learning curve, but I'm figuring it out as we go, and luckily I have great guidance with Ronnie over here and been over at Recreation. And yeah, I'm just really excited to get some programs started. So my idea is to do some more adaptive, specialized programming for people, whether it's like physical disabilities, just different types of impairments. It doesn't even have to be a disability, or even just getting out and recreating safely and with intent and purpose behind the activities. So that is what I am here to do.
Great.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you. Feel free to. So my office down by the offices is the first one. I share an office with Terry, Calvin, but feel free to pop in, ask questions, give recommendations, get to know me. So yeah, if you have any questions, let me know.
You live here in Longmont?
I do. Yeah.
Great.
Yes.
That's good.
And I have to say that Marianne and Ronnie did a great duo at the trip registration.
Oh yes, we were emceeing
They even had tie-dye t-shirts.
that we handmade tie-dye t-shirts.
Wow.
Considering you were just on board and
Yeah.
you really hadn't done it before, it was very entertaining and it went very efficiently.
Very entertaining with corny jokes. We had a lot of those.
Oh, I'm such a corny joke person. I love them.
And we called them dad jokes.
Dad
We
jokes
say
and
dad
puns.
jokes. And it was a good time. Thank you, Sheila. It was a good time. You want to care share where you moved here from?
Oh yeah, so I moved here from New Hampshire. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Go Steelers. And then I did my grad school up in New Hampshire, and I was there for probably about all of COVID, so 3-4 years. And then I moved from New Hampshire to Longmont for this job specifically. So I didn't just happen to end up here. I strategically picked this job, picked this location. So yeah, I'm very invested in being here. I have 2 older brothers, which makes me very competitive. And I live here in Longmont with my partner and our 3 dogs. So if you ever see me walking around, I'll be with 2 well-behaved dogs and 1 menace. It's the little one. It's always a little one, right?
And how did you hear about the position?
Online. I was just, I knew I wanted to come to Colorado, so I was looking at CPRA, which is Colorado Parks and Recreation Association, and I was also I found this job on the city website. I was just searching city to city and found it that way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming and
Yeah, thanks.
welcome, and
Good.
we may have you here again soon.
Yeah.
We interviewed Ariana on Zoom.
Yeah.
And she made it a very easy decision for us as
Which
well.
I was nervous about. I feel like it's hard to, with a computer screen, it's just different. But yeah, it went great. Yeah, so I know Amy, Val, and I are really, and Terry are really excited to get this go planned and just make some good changes.
Very excited for this group. They have great ideas, great suggestions, the way they collaborate together. They all bring different strengths and are open to new ideas and suggestions and supporting one another. So very excited for this team and a complete team, and excited for them to bring on an additional teammate in 2024. So.
And I'm
Great things
excited
happen.
because we all have similar experiences, but different experiences too. So some situations we can banter back and forth, and then other times it's like, oh, Val's the expert in this, you take it and run. So we've only been together for a month, but we already work very well together, and it's just very natural and fluid, which makes it more exciting to, come to work and try and expand on these programs and just serve the community, which we're all very dedicated to. Anytime we have a conversation, it always comes back to what do the community members want or what do they need from us is where we always come back. So I'd like to believe that you guys are in excellent hands. And we're all just pumped to be here. So
A lot of excitement coming from this group.
Nice for you,
It
Ronnie.
feels great. It feels fantastic.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned before, we're going to be very intentional with our hiring process. We're not going to speed anything up just to fill voids or vacancies. We're going to find the right group of people, and we did that.
Yeah.
So
Good
I'm very
job.
excited.
Good job.
Nice.
Thank you.
Nice, good.
Okay,
Thank you.
of course. Have a wonderful
Go ahead,
meeting.
move on.
I see everyone around.
Nice
Thank
meeting
you.
Thank you. You too.
Marcia's not here.
I want to steal 2 minutes of her time. So we need 2 people on the board to help us with interviews for upcoming board members. If you're a candidate, you probably can't be interviewing, but would 2 people be willing to do that? And I got an email back that we need to do that before December 1st. So we've got some time.
I'd be
My-
happy to help you out.
I would be happy to do that, but I'm gonna be gone. In fact, I was gonna bring that up pretty soon, that I'm not gonna be here for the November meeting. I'm gonna be gone from the 23rd of this month to the 5th of November. So I don't know if that's going to work or not, so.
I think it would.
Okay, if it works,
You'd be okay to do that?
well, depending on what I have that day.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and we would certainly schedule it at a time that works for both of you, Ronnie and I, and the candidates.
Sounds great.
Okay.
And Mr. Chusa, we have our.
Do we know at this point how many candidates, how many applications?
I looked yesterday and I can't remember the number.
But there are some.
There-
Okay,
And we have one more coming.
Yeah.
wow,
We can touch base today.
okay. Anything else, Jeff? on
No.
that? Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the area agent, agency on aging. Nobody?
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. Well, I went to my first meeting and Arlene did a great job of co-chairing it. They talked about a lot of things as far as what's coming up in the legislature and what their focus is. It was a very informational meeting. There was a lot that they discussed. And basically, I just got lay of the land and kind of understood, a little understanding of what it was about. And I was rather intimidated because everybody had degrees in this and degrees in that, all relating to human services and seniors and stuff. And I was like, I've worked in business for 40 years, but it gave me a focus on what I can do I can bring to the group and back to us, as far as, what their plans are moving forward and how I can fit into that for Longmont, to bring the information back. Other than that, is there anything else you can think of?
The only thing I wanted to mention is that it's the time of the year that the Area Agency on Aging gets an opportunity to speak to a commissioner. And it was Commissioner Stoltzman who was there. So we presented to her what our goals and our, for the future. And then she talked to us about what the Boulder County Commissioners' goals are for the next year. So it was really a good meeting, including with her. So I thought that was
Full of information.
Yeah, for being new, she's very, very good. Very good.
And she could even say what could be possible and what couldn't.
Yeah.
She was very clear on some things and saying, that's not really gonna be in the plan, but, for now. But, this is instead, or we're gonna do this, or, if you wanna continue to present it, as you move along, don't forget about it, but right now, that probably isn't gonna be on anybody's radar type of thing. So it was good, it was very informative.
What is her name again?
Stoltzman.
And is that, they meet monthly?
Yes,
Okay,
our next meeting is Friday in Allen's Park.
Yes.
all right. Friends board? I'm sorry, does anybody else have any more questions? I'm trying to rush this.
Yeah, okay. One thing before I give a brief report. Remember the Heat Watch program? I participated in when we measured the surface heat around the
Right.
city. Evidently the results of that should be disseminated within 2 weeks. So I hope before the end of the month. I mean, I don't have any input into that, but so I think that would be very interesting to find out
Yeah.
the hot spots.
Okay.
and the cooler spots.
Okay.
And the Friends, briefly, we talked about the last resorts payments that the Friends pay, which if you're not familiar with, it's people that have nowhere else to turn for problems, for financial problems. And these can range from eyeglasses to rent or moving or similar health issues. And Brandy did mention that the Fraser grants that we get, they apply for every year. They were very impressed with what the senior centre did because it was so detailed and expansive. They said, apply next year again, because if you don't use the whole grant for 1 year, that's it, you don't get it the next year.
How was that again?
Did they get it this year?
They had it last
If they
year.
don't use, if the
If you don't-
senior center
yeah.
doesn't use all the money they got, they can't apply
Yes.
again.
So evidently that's standard for grants.
And they will reapply, they urge
Yes.
them to reapply.
Okay, good.
We talked to Amy and Val again, as we did last time, and they gave a presentation on their position and their future plans here. Ruth led a discussion about registration procedures because that's sometimes not very easy for people to understand, particularly online. So I don't think there was any resolution on that, but it was agreed that is still a problem. Linda explained that there are tax implications if you make donations through your R&D or through your IRA. That people are not. I certainly wasn't aware of it, and she gave a very detailed description, and I still don't understand exactly what it means. But she suggested that people talk to their tax accountant to understand how and where they should give donations, especially to the senior centre.
So there's a benefit, there's a tax benefit?
There's a tax benefit if you do it a certain way, and it's basically through your R&D. Then there was talk about contacting banks who have an obligation to give donations. I don't know what the percentage is,
To the
but
community?
to the community, yes. And so a couple of the members of the Friends Board are working through that, contacting banks and selling them on the idea of donating to the Friends and subsequently to the Senior Centre. And then Ronnie Maines and Sheila Conroy both gave reports on their trip to Casper. And it's 12 o'clock. Thank you. Are there any questions on what the Friends discussed?
Okay, it's after 12. Is it okay to continue here, or can we do another 5 to 10 minutes?
You're the boss.
Okay, sustainability?
So Dave emailed me, they did not meet last month, so there's nothing to report.
Okay,
That's
great.
easy.
Yeah, and engaging and caring communities.
Who does that?
What's that one?
I don't know, I've never seen
I
that
don't,
before.
I've never heard that. I don't know, I haven't.
Well,
Where'd you get that, Ryan?
It's been on the agenda.
Sounds really
I'll have to look to see who that is, at the top of my head, I can't.
It seemed like it's been a while since somebody was,
Yeah, that-
that they haven't been meeting.
Right.
Is that an organization?
Yeah,
The city?
Yeah.
we
Engaging.
caring communities.
engaging. Okay, Dave said that at his next meeting, he's gonna be inviting Linda Fetterman to attend. Again, I won't be here, but I was hoping that, Josefa goes by a different name.
Ina.
Pina is I don't know, nickname or something like that. And, so I want to try to get her to attend if she feels okay attending.
Who is Linda Fetterman?
She's the
President of
president of the
Friends.
Friends.
Oh.
President of the what?
Friends.
Okay. So, anything else that needs to be shared? Any new business?
Well, one thing I would like to say is that I'm going to compliment Ronnie particularly and Jeff to some extent too about the hiring that we've experienced.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
there was, as everybody knows, there was a lot of, I don't want to say discord, but upset and rumours and, you know, what's happening to the senior centre. And I think it's wonderful to see it on a good, steady course now. So kudos all around.
Yeah. So thank you and the staff for all you're doing.
Mm.
Jeff, we appreciate you coming and
Thanks.
Yes.
coming in on that too. It's,
I enjoy this meeting. It's always very good.
And it's great the information you can give us.
Right.
So we clear things up.
Yes.
When we start going with ideas
Right.
and stuff, you can kind of clear as to what's possible, what's not.
Right.
So that's always
and
good.
Ronnie, I have something I want to share with you afterwards if you have a minute.
Yes.
Okay.
I just want to say something real quick too. We had the volunteers from the senior center come and speak to our Village Place monthly meeting, and they were terrific. They really gave a lot of information. They answered a lot of questions people had. You know, I'm surprised that a place like Village Place doesn't know more about the senior center. And so we're doing, yeah, we're doing what we
Right next
can to
door.
bring in more information all the time. Our Coffee and Conversations, which is run by LHA, this past time was about the senior center and what was available and things like that. So the more information we're putting out to all the residents, the more they're saying, wow, I didn't know that, didn't realize that, all that stuff. So, yeah, I just want to say the volunteers again helped, you know, answer questions and let people know what's available to them if they want to make an appointment or just come into the center, talk to people, that sort of thing. So they did a very good job.
Appreciate the feedback. I'll share it out, and they're a very passionate group, so.
Anything else? One quick question is, what exactly is our vans being used for, or the senior van?
Our vans for all of our day trips,
For what?
for all of our trips.
Okay. And that pretty much keeps them busy.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's how we get around. So all those fun things we plan, that's how we get there. Unless it's the big things where we gotta get a coach vehicle, but that's our means of transportation.
Could they ever start a rental? You know, make it available to the city with those vans? Is that
I would
something they would ever
say
do?
probably not.
Right.
Do they pick people up and bring them to the center and take them home or no?
No, it would say everything's out of our central location.
So everybody has to be here and there.
But you are moving the start and end location to Lashley, right? At some point?
Right, and yes, we're planning that for any trips that we're having will be at Lashley Station.
The pickups and drop-offs?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
Parking
they run
is
nice.
better?
Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
and it frees up the parking here where, you know, people are gone 8 hours and a lot's tied up.
Yes, that's an excellent
That's great.
solution.
That's Ronnie's.
Good job, Ronnie.
Just other than things.
And I met Donnie, was the name, the driver?
Yes, we
And
hired him.
he's really excited.
Another great hire.
Yeah, so
That's
he
fantastic.
sounds like a great
Yeah.
individual.
So is,
Real outgoing.
what was the Chuck, the previous driver?
Chuck's still with us, yes.
He is still?
Yeah.
Is he getting on it?
Okay, any other items?
I will be gone at the next board meeting as well.
So there's gonna be two of us.
So it's canceled. Just kidding.
And then I don't think we've canceled any, that if we have to, and it's something we can do, I don't know, it's up to the board, I guess.
And I don't know where it falls in line with your plans or your trip plans. If there's any reports that you need to send to me before you leave, or before I send that email out, please just send it out. I'll make sure.
Is, you three plan on attending,
I do.
and Dave probably, so will that Meet the quorum?
Yep.
Okay.
Unless somebody's got COVID or something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
Okay. That it? Move to adjourn?
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
Second?
And I gotta go get my COVID shot since Dave got it.